good here now. I hope this video finds you doing well. Today I'm going to be talking about being a teenager, a bit how it was, for me, a bit about what I learned now at the end of my teens, but also I'm going to be ending with some lessons I've learned that maybe could help you, either if you're watching this and you just became a teen, you're 13, 14, or you're in your middle teens, 16, 17, or perhaps like me, you're at the end of your teens and want to reflect a bit with me about the years past. So when I was you become a teenager like 12, but you really start to become a teenager when you hit puberty, which myself, I would say I did a bit later. I had my glow up when I was like 16, 17, late 16, early 17. This was when I started going to the gym a bit. I came out of puberty pretty much. And before that, when in the middle of puberty, I suppose, it was really rough for me. I suffered with I was very sort of suicidal at certain points, but both, well, there are many reasons. Myself, quite early, I had what Nietzsche would call, staring. There's a quote by Nietzsche: "It's if you stare into the abyss long enough, the abyss also stares into you." And that happened to me at a very early age. Realizing the world's the evils of the world, and falling into nihilism. And if you fall into nihilism, you're gonna get depressed and anxious and all of this, and that at the same time as puberty, it's a cocktail for fucking disaster. And so I didn't see the meaning in life. A point in life was quite suicidal, almost killed myself 1 or 2 times. Alhamdulillah, I didn't. And in this depressive state, or what you would call it, and also with becoming a teenager, friends start doing drugs, start drinking. I also started drinking, doing drugs, smoked a lot of weed, drank. Not as much, I smoked more, and started like tobacco, smoked cigarettes, vaped, nicotine pouches, all of it. Certain times, fuck, I've tried half the drugs under the sun. Not anything. I haven't tried heroin, for example, but lived like well, in my mind, I couldn't see myself getting past 25. And I'm not there yet, so we'll see. But yeah, overall, very dark times. Not always, but lots of fun things I did. I mean, smoking as a teenager, it's pretty fun. Wouldn't recommend smoking as much as I did, but can still, I have good memories from those times. So yeah, and I think this sort of you know, to at least some point have some form of if it's an existential crisis, if it's an identity crisis, some form of crisis in your teens it's very common, you know. Most of my friends went through something at least, you know, some form of change. It's a period of big change, and change is hard. So if you are saying if you are going through, you know, this change and it's hard, and you like me was suffering, if it's physically, if it's mentally, you know, I mean, I have a great life. I have very many advantages, and I'm a middle class guy from Sweden. It's like I haven't suffered, you know. There are people who suffer, but even with these, you know, mental things, you know, it's like you are still suffering. It's hard, and what I say to those people is, you know, this too shall pass. You know, life is hard, but it comes in ups and downs, and that's the first lesson I have here. In life you can't have the ups of life without the downs, and if you're like me, someone who can have very low lows, mentally at least, then, you know, you're capable of very high highs too. And with that also, as a guy who was in a depressive state, I got prescribed SRIs, or is it SSRIs? I don't know, antidepressives. I would not recommend it. Now, obviously, I am not a medical professional, and you should talk to a psychiatrist if you're having issues and blah blah blah, you know, the deal. But at least for me, if life without SRIs is like, it's a bit like this, you know. With, it's like this, you know, you cut out the lows, but you also cut out the highs, and perhaps you need that. Perhaps you're like, I don't know, bipolar or something. But like I said, I don't think, you know, you can have the highs without the lows, and if you suffer through those lows, those highs, they're what makes life worth living. The second lesson is the people you surround yourself with is very important. And when I was, I think it would be high school, I was with in my teenage years, I've hung around some bad people. Yeah, some bad people, you know, drug dealers. I fucking hung around with proper junkies, fucking every kind of scum, which I myself was, you know. I've done some shit. Stupid shit mostly, but you know, just you surround yourself with is you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And, you know, it doesn't matter if you're a teenager, if you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. It's like be around good people. Be around people you want to be like. One of the things that led me to to realize this and to say cut out a lot of people was I had a lot of drinking buddies, a lot of stoner friends, you know, who I only hung out with because we smoked or we drank, you know, and to be with them sober, you know, can't even look them in the eye, you know. Not that I could stoned or drunk either because I'm fucking autistic. But be with good people, and if you are gonna say do drugs, do drugs with good people. And I don't condone drugs. I myself you know, pretty much stopped entirely, not entirely, but very from daily smoker to like fucking once every month or so, if that. The third thing is, well, be careful with substances. You know, I'm not saying you shouldn't try, well, you shouldn't try heroin, which is, I think, self-evident, but be careful. Alcohol, nicotine, anything, be careful. You know, it's, I've seen people, you know, one guy who I went to high school with, he was, you know, a good kid, bright, I mean, not a fucking genius, but, you know, solid, you know. And in the span of 3 years, not slowly or fastly, but progressively, just one step at a time. He didn't listen to the advice about heroin, let's say that. No, he's not a heroin junkie or something. He's tried, but you know, you can fuck up your life real bad. And you know, I've seen, as a guy who, you know, started quite early with that sort of stuff, it's like, even if you don't fucking try heroin, it's like you don't want to be the guy that's a daily smoker. You don't want to be nicotine addicted. You don't want to be the guy that goes fucking straight drinking a whole weekend every weekend. It's not a good life. And I don't like to give advice. I think one should be very careful of giving advice, which is why these are lessons that I have learned, and this is my experience, and I'm only sharing my experience, and try not to flat out give advice too much. But it's like, even if you don't ruin your life, you know, even if you don't end up on a street, it's, as a guy who's been a daily smoker, like, you don't fucking want that. It's not nice. It's like when you start smoking, it's fun. You do it for fun and you like it. After a while, you know, it's like I didn't even care about getting high. I just wanted to fucking smoke a joint. It's like I didn't smoke for the fucking weed. I wanted just to smoke. Right? It's like I didn't care about getting high. I just cared about fucking smoking. I just wanted to smoke. You don't want that. It's not a good fuck. It's not a nice life. It's not fun. It's not enjoyable. It's like, if you're gonna do these sort of things, be careful and be, what's the word? Use it in moderation. Like, only weekends, you know, set up whatever rules work for you. Only every month, every other weekend, whatever. But be very careful. The fourth lesson is, don't be afraid to try new things. A bit ironic. But, you know, one of the a lot of the greatest things I've done in my life have been on a whim. I started martial arts on a whim. I just, I didn't know anybody. I knew I wanted to fucking do this. Let's try. And, been addicted ever since. Probably the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Fucking competition in martial arts, also just, I saw it. Just, fuck it, let's try. You're not always gonna succeed. You're not always gonna like it. I've been fortunate, and most of the things I've tried I've liked. Because I know myself quite well, so I know what I want, I know what I value and all these certain things. So but yeah, don't be afraid to try new things if it's a new hobby, if it's, starting to read or to train or fucking become chess, hiking, whatever it may be. If you're feeling like, if you think it's even a consideration that if it's a 1% chance, if it's a 0.1% chance that you might like it, try it. And even if you don't think you'll like it, still try it. If like your friends are like, hey, you want to go and try and do this thing, come with them. Perhaps not if it's heroin, but otherwise, sure. And the fifth and final thing, lesson. In my teenage years, I sort of lost myself quite early. Partly, identity crisis, crisis of faith, crisis of fucking everything, And it's easy to lose yourself in that, lose yourself in just that, like, confusion, the world, The world opens up and everything. It's especially for someone like me, or if you're perhaps like me, neurotic, and you feel things deeply, think too much, whatever. Uncontrollable mind, crazy. If you're a fucking nut job like me, then you might lose yourself. But don't do that because, don't lose yourself because, fucking your friends want you to be away, or because the people you hang out with, because if they want you to be anyone but you, they're not your friends. But if, the core of who you've been up to that point, through that, and I'm only 19, soon 20, but like when I go back and read stuff about like when I was little, it's like the core thing that is you doesn't change so much. You might think it does. You might, start thinking too negatively or too highly or whatever. Or thinking that, you're not that person anymore, or like you lost yourself. And it's like, yeah, perhaps you lost him, but he's still in you, that he or she, that thing, your essence. Even if you lose it, it's still there. And even if you're struggling, do your best. You can't do anything more than that. Do your best to be your best. And only you can do you. and be you. And to finish off, start fucking training. That's the only advice I'll give to you. The rest is what I've learned. Use it, don't use it. Incorporate it, don't incorporate it. But fucking start training. Thank you for listening, and if you enjoyed this, or didn't enjoy this, tell me. I love all feedback. If it's on me just being fucking retarded, or if it's on, you know, what I could do to make the videos more interesting, or anything. Format, whatever. Yeah. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.